Well, despite the impact of Hurricane Matthew, one game remained on the docket for Friday night. Could Lemon Bay finally change the 0 to a 1 in the win column? Find out right now on SNN's Friday Football Fever. Hello everyone, Trevor DeGroat with you, welcoming you in once again to Friday Football Fever presented by Ingman Marine. Because of the storm, many of this week's games could not commence Friday night. More on that in a bit. Our deepest sympathies, thoughts, and prayers to all those impacted in our state by Hurricane Matthew this week. We hope you are safe and in very good spirits. One game did get underway on the Suncoast region Friday, and it involved the Lemon Bay Manta Rays, still hunting for that first elusive win of the season. Things heated up with the Cypress Lake Panthers. On the opening kickoff, Manta Rays recover a fumble and are immediately in business. Few plays later, Braden Curry takes it in for the first score. Manta Rays grab the early lead, but the Panthers would answer right back. Nice run up the middle from Isaiah Thomas, not to be confused with the great Knicks player. Tie game at 6. Now things start to get interesting. Hayden Wolf's pass picked off by Thomas, playing both sides, and he takes it all the way for a score, but an illegal block in the back brings it back. It wouldn't matter though, because 2 plays later, it's Kelsey Demps. He's going to take it to the right side, cut to the sidelines, and folks, he's gone to the house, 85 yards, and the Panthers take their first lead of the game, 13-6. That Lemon Bay faithful sick of losing. They want to get the crowd going. They want to get their team riled up for a win. Next Lemon Bay drive, it's Victor Meller utilizing some great downfield blocking, cuts back, takes it to the end zone, and the game is tied. Isaiah Thomas once again for the Panthers. Another big run here. It's going to put the Panthers in good field position, but the Lemon Bay defense would hold. Time winding down in the second quarter. Meller is going to find the end zone again, but this touchdown pass gets called back because of an ineligible man downfield. However, third and long, Meller's going to make his way across the field to give the Manta Rays a first down. Folks, mission accomplished for Lemon Bay. They get the victory, 20-19. Multiple games had to be moved or canceled. We'll start with the ones moved to Saturday. St. Stephen's versus ODA now set for Saturday at 1 p.m. Multiple others have been moved. Southeast and Cardinal Mooney taking place at 11 a.m. right on Fruitville Road, while Northport and Bayshore are set to do battle at high noon. Out-of-town games also being adjusted. Manatee and Palm Harbor University High originally was going to be moved to Thursday, but has been pushed back to Saturday at 11 a.m., as has Sarasota versus Jesuit up in Tampa. And the Riverview Bowl, the Rams against the Sharks in Hillsborough County, has been shifted to 5 p.m. And as far as the canceled games are concerned, IMG Academy and Southern Lab has been called off. Southern Lab from Louisiana and Port Charlotte versus Sebring. Those two teams have agreed to cancel their non-district game. Now that first game you saw, St. Stephen's and Out of Door Academy, well, their rivalry has a little extra spice this season. ODA now part of the Sunshine State Athletic Conference within the Coral Bay Division with the Falcons. And our SNN's own Ben Bobick has the preview of their matchup.
Everybody's hyped for this game. They've always been our rival, and everybody wants to take back the Headmasters Cup.
It's the battle for the Headmasters Cup Saturday afternoon and a Coral Bay Conference game. On top of it all, it's a must-win for the Thunder to keep their postseason hopes alive, and they've taken it back to their roots for motivation.
You gotta want to win for the guy next to you and the guy in front of you and the guy behind you, and just going out there and showing the pride that the O of Out of Door and the Thunder deserve.
The Thunder are looking to feed off the home crowd to provide that spark to put them over the top.
There's probably got to be a momentum play that sparks this thing and gets these guys believing that we can do it. And with the home crowd behind us, you never know, just might have a shot at it.
The Falcons are finding motivation elsewhere with the return of senior Mike Birch, who hasn't seen action since 2013.
He had a heart condition, enlarged heart. He was told he could never play again. And his breakout game his freshman year was against ODA, and he just got cleared 2 weeks ago.
The Falcons' heart and soul returns, and despite their success this season, they know what's at stake come their battle at Thunder Stadium.
Although, we're good, we're not going to just pass them by. We're going to play every down to our hardest, and we're going to play every game our hardest.
As for ODA, they can't think of a better game to make a statement.
When I look around, it doesn't feel like a Class 2A environment to me. And, this year playing St. Stephen's, it's going to be all that much more.
Reporting for our Game of the Week, Ben Bobick, SNN, the Suncoast News Network.
Remember, folks, you can be a part of our show by repping your prep team on social media. You take a picture at a local game and you use the hashtag SNN Fanpics on Twitter and Facebook. And if you're a Snapchat user and happen to be at our Game of the Week site, we will have a geo filter set up for you. Be sure to include and add our Twitter and Snapchat accounts in your posts, and you could see yourself and your posts on the show. Well, when we come back, Herald Tribune sports writer Doug Fernandez and I will update you on the current district standings of all the area teams and fill you in on SNN's latest Super 6 poll. Don't push that dial. More Friday Football Fever coming up. Welcome back to Friday Football Fever, everybody. Herald Tribune sports columnist Doug Fernandez joining us.
New Bedford, Missouri.
New Bedford, Missouri. Boston Red Sox fan.
Right.
This week. Biggest Boston Red Sox fan. Yes.
Yeah, let's move on from there.
Yeah, well, we are going to move on. A lot of these teams are trying to move on from a non-busy week of football because, of course, of Hurricane Matthew. So it kind of gives us a chance to really look at these up-to-date district standings here, Doug. And we'll start in 8A District 6. Big weekend, of course, for Saturday. Manatee and Riverview, both in big district games.
Yeah, and if you look at the past records of those two games, Riverview, Manatee and Palm Harbor, both of them destroyed, the home teams destroyed the opponents of those two teams last year. So I expect Manatee and both Riverview to stay in there. But, you know, like I said, Riverview, the local Rams team, really hurt themselves with that loss to Palm Harbor a couple of weeks ago. When you look at the standings, Newsom at 3-0. I didn't realize that till you put the district standings in front of me. Really a tough road to hoe for Riverview by that loss. So really put them on the 8 ball.
It is. Manatee on the road at Palm Harbor on Saturday, and Riverview facing Riverview. The Riverview Bowl going on.
Confusing there.
Exactly.
Riverview.
Well, we made the distinction right there with Hillsborough and SRQ. So big, and Riverview, of course, facing Manatee next week. A big game right there. We'll move to 7A District 11, and looking towards a little bit of the bottom of the mid-pack. You know, Sarasota's loss to Palmetto really hurt them. They've made so many strides this year already with a positive record. Brian Riles doing an excellent job, but unfortunately that loss at home to Palmetto really put a number on their season, really deflates it going forward.
Deflates it, and we knew going into the season that Palmetto would have a nice team, Marino would have them ready to play, but in that district, very, very tough. They're 2-0 with Venice and Braden River, but I don't count on them being there at the end. Obviously, it's going to come on the Braden River and Venice October 14th matchup. Last year, Braden River got Venice twice on the way to the regional semifinals. So John Peacock, I'm sure, has been focusing on this game, even now, this rematch.
And we're going to be talking about that here coming up in just a few minutes. We move down to 6A District 11, or 10, I should say. Port Charlotte, here we go again. Just like last year, these two teams were undefeated in the district. They're going to, looks like they're heading that way later down the road.
Yeah, it looks like Charlotte is still Charlotte. Port Charlotte, I don't know if they're quite as good as they were last year, but again, it seems like year after year, it's always those two teams in District 10, and it's going to come to those two teams again for probably the champion and the runner-up.
And we see 5A District 11, obviously Southeast looking pretty good despite a rough start, and Booker, Lemon Bay, Bayshore struggling. And then you look at 3A District 5, Cardinal Mooney, they're in the hunt. They're 1-0 right now, 4-1. Drew Lascari's got that program looking in the right direction.
They do. I mean, I did a story on him during the season. It's going to take more than 1 or 2 seasons to get that team where he wants to be. He came from Don Bosco. He wants to establish that sort of tradition. It always comes down to, it seems like Mooney and CCC. We'll see how Mooney does against CCC. All
right, Doug. Well, when we come back, we're going to talk about Venice Braden River, the big showdown next Friday. Stick around on Friday Football Fever. Welcome back, everybody. Friday Football Fever. Doug Fernandez, Trevor DeGroat right here, taking a look at the Super 6 poll and the two teams atop that poll, Braden River and Venice, who will face off next week, Doug. Two top 5 ranked 7A teams in the state set to do battle. Both teams have been preparing for this. They have the bye this week coming up, or actually this week. What do you like in this game? What do you see here? What's the key?
Well, I don't know. I know Braden River is the top of the poll right now, as they should be. They advanced further than Venice did last year. But if you had to ask me right now if I was a betting man, and I am, I'd give the money on Venice going forward. I think the home field advantage, I mean, it's going to be crazy down there in Indiantown. Probably sit about 8,000 for that game. So I think the home field advantage, and if you look at the results of how they've done so far, Venice has dominated their opponents a little bit better than Braden River has going forward. But you talk about Matt LaRoche, Raymond Thomas,
both running backs.
Coming back from ACL surgery. Kai came back in 10 months, has already rushed for 700-800 yards, a bunch of touchdowns. I think whoever controls the line of scrimmage, like any football game, might win this game.
Yeah, LaRoche is around 1,000 yards himself for Venice. It's going to be a really big rushing attack. But then you look at the quarterbacks, a little bit different. Bryce Carpenter got that feel for it last year on the road against Braden River twice, one in the regular season, one in the playoffs, lost both times. Now it's A.J. Colosimo on Braden River, who's the inexperienced one. He's got to go in on the road against a hostile crowd and a hostile team with what John Peacock has in store.
Yeah, that's why maybe I'll give the edge to Venice a little bit. And you got to figure, after losing twice to Braden River last year, John Peacock has used the entire offseason and probably the first few games of this season, not overlooking their opponents, but pointing toward this game next week with Braden River as not only getting the jump in the district, but sort of retribution for the 2 losses last year into their season.
Kurt Bradley's going to have a really difficult task, I think, of trying to slow down Bryce Carpenter, Matt LaRoche, and that entire offense. So it's going to be really fun to see, and it's why I think we have Venice on our Super 6 poll ahead of Braden River, because of performance-wise. But that's all the time we have.
All right.
Doug, thank you very much. That's all for this week of Friday Football Fever. See you next week.